As you can see, the cars are getting ready to go out onto track for the final B race of the weekend here at Cadwell Park. David Waters is starting on pole position. It's over to Andy for the final time to take us through all of the action.
Thanks, Lloyd. Well, the front of this grid sees a few familiar faces, a few drivers returning to B racing action today. David Waters on pole with one of those drivers, Richard Wootton, alongside. Seb Fisher and Adam Bessel, having worked so hard to get into the A group, retired from his A race, so he's back on row number 2. Bryn Griffiths is next ahead of Christina Holly, then Christian Dan, Stuart Ross French, Jake Stiles and Graham Rumsey to round out the top 10 drivers. Hopefully everyone will get out there. We saw that spectacular last lap shunt in the second B race earlier on this morning between Clive Chisnall, Oliver Jenkins and Ivan Leary. Let's hope that all three of those are out towards the back of the field. Looks like they will be. And so, for the final time this weekend, the Mazda MX-5 Championship about to burst into life with the blue car of David Waters on pole position. A lot of creeping there for both of our front row men before the race got underway, but it does now get underway. And Richard Wootton, the black and yellow car, going toe-to-toe with the pole sitter down towards turn number 1. Adam Bessel, though, in 4th position on the grid, arguably the pre-race favourite here. A bit of squeezing going on as they run into the first corner there. We're on board with Bruce Robinson, the number 20 car there, trying to join in the action is Christopher Ginn on the inside, and there Ivan Leary, so we definitely can see that he's out on the circuit. He's going up the inside of Ashley Heath. The silver car is Clive Chisnall, the white and red is Oliver Jenkins. So yes, all three of those cars back out on circuit after their dramas in the previous race. Park straight they go. There's Jake Stiles in the sort of, what would you call that, not quite turquoise, is it? The light blue and white car, number 2 in the middle of the pack. Side by side for the race lead though, and Adam Bessel already is out in front. He hasn't had to overtake quite as many drivers as he did in the first B race, where he started from the back of the grid to win. This time around he started 4th, and before they're halfway around the first lap, Bessel is out in front. So Adam Bessel could be on course therefore at this rate to become the first double winner in these B races, because we've had such a variety of drivers who have raced at the front of these grids. We haven't yet had anybody win 2 of them. Adam Bessel, they will be his only 2 wins of the season so far as well. He would much rather they were A race victories. We know he's got the pace to compete towards the sharp end in the A races, but for this weekend that's not been possible. Side by side though for second, look at Seb Fisher goes up the inside of Richard Wootton. That was a nice and forceful move into the bottom of the mountain. Wootton down to 3rd with David Waters 4th, and I think Bryn Griffiths back in 5th position. Bryn, remember, was 3rd in the first B race, and that bought him a ticket to the A grid, but he was then back in the bottom 5 again in race 2A. He's dropped down to the B grid once again. Waters there on the inside of Richard Wootton, who gets sideways and does a really nice job to save it. Waters, in fairness to him, backed out of it so as not to gain a position as a result of the contact, but Wootton's now off again, and this is Waters' opportunity to get back alongside. Side by side then for 3rd place as they run down the pit straight, and Bryn Griffiths will no doubt try to join in the fun as well. He's in the slipstream as they go towards turn number 1. Waters has gone through. Griffiths backs out of going around the outside though, possibly sensibly so. Bruce Robinson now looking back. That looks like it is one of the AB Motorsport cars behind us possibly. Just turn our way through the double apex right-hander at Charlie's. Back towards the sharp end though, inside the top 5 here, but no promotional spots for this. This is the final race of the weekend, so there is no A race to be promoted into. So it's all about just getting as many points as you can salvage really from this race. A win in a B race is not worth as many points as a win in the A race, of course, but it's still a win, and it still is some championship points. So if any of these drivers, particularly the likes of Adam Bessel, feel that they could potentially be fighting for an outright top 5 in the championship, then race victories are essential really when you find yourself down in the B grid. And he should hopefully have a shot at setting the fastest lap as well. Back towards the mountain they go. Richard Wootton then, having lost the couple of positions early on, he's now back racing with drivers that he's a bit more accustomed to dicing with, namely Bryn Griffiths behind him. These two spent a lot of time pretty close together last time out at Pembrey, I seem to remember. Bryn Griffiths was able to get a victory in the opening race of the weekend. Richard Wootton unfortunately had a couple of issues towards the end of the weekend, but his pace was strong. And all weekend long, which Wootton had some issues, didn't he? Had a non-finish in race 1, fought back from the back of the grid to finish 9th in race 2 at Pembrey, and then unfortunately had an issue and dropped down to 19th and last in race 3. So Richard, for him, Pembrey was a missed opportunity really. Had good speed, but just wasn't quite able to execute on it. Bryn Griffiths was up and down the order a little bit from the B grid to the A grid and back to the Bs again, but was very happy to get that victory. I believe his first ever victory in Mazda MX-5 racing in race 1B at Pembrey. on the podium again earlier on this weekend, yesterday in the first B race, and he'd like to do the same thing again here. This at the moment is the fight for 4th position. This is the race leader, Adam Bessel, pulling clear at the head of the pack. And Seb Fisher trying to go with him, but Seb, whilst he is, again, a fairly regular driver within the A group, he's not quite on the pace of Adam Bessel this weekend, but Adam has been very, very quick indeed, and was gaining lots of ground in race 2A before an untimely retirement, so it's not like he was slow in that grid. It was only because he retired that he ended up getting demoted. He was, I think, out of the relegation spots within about half a lap or so, if that, in race 2A. The non-finish, unfortunately, has knocked him back down again. Fight for 4th, leaps into view over the mountain. Bryn Griffiths continuing to apply the pressure here to Richard Wootton, but they don't really have any pressure from behind. Christina Holly in 6th position is leading the next group of cars, and she's not quite been able to go with these two. So as far as Bryn Griffiths is concerned, that's good news, because it means he's got no pressure from behind. He can just sort of sit there and bide his time, wait for the opportunity to arise if it will, and then try and pick the pocket of Richard Wootton should he be able to force a mistake out of him. Then it's Christina Holly, and then it looks like Graham Rumsey is next, and he has got a challenge being made now down towards the first corner. As around the outside line comes Christian Dan in the blue number 27 car, wheel to wheel through the first corner. Christian, I thought for a moment, was going to brave it out around the outside at turn 1, because you can then get the inside line for Charlie's, but it's fraught with danger. Christian decided better of it. That all frees up Christina Holly a little bit, who continues to pull away now in that distinctively liveried car. Very well prepared car as well, very clean car too. Christina's staying out of trouble this weekend so far, let's hope that continues. Wootton and Griffiths 4th and 5th, closer than ever though as they come through Charlie's, and through Chris Curve. And then they fire it into oblivion over the crest through the gooseneck. Christina Holly does likewise just behind them. Snatching the rake slightly as they drop into Mansfield, back into our sight, and this winding course at Cadwell Park, where the steering wheel is very, very rarely pointing in a straight line. And that's even if things are going well. If your car's not handling well underneath you, then there's even more sort of side-to-side antics inside the cockpit. There's Ivan Leary. Now, I thought Ivan Leary might be able to make a bit more progress than this, because he was just outside the top 5 in race 2 when he had that slide at Mansfield and got collected by Oliver Jenkins, sending Oliver Jenkins into orbit nearly as the 57 car was launched airborne. We always talk about the cars getting airborne over the mountain, but that was a little bit excessive, even by Cadwell Park spectacular standards. There is Ivan Leary. Just behind him is the black number 222 car. That's Adrian Johnson from 24th on the grid. Adrian non-finished in the previous race, unfortunately, so has had to come through from the very back of the grid. Jake Styles about to lose out here to Ivan Leary, I think, though. Ivan had a much better exit out of Barn Corner, and will go through before they reach the first turn, past the grandstand. Spectators watching on with interest as the midfield scrap starts to develop quite nicely, and now Ivan Leary and Clive Chisnell will resume their battle from the previous race, because I think the next car in Ivan's sights is Clive, so Clive's been able to make a bit more progress from the back of the grid than Ivan has at this point. Quite sure where Oliver Jenkins has got to, whether he's in front of them. Well, I think that's him in the background, isn't it? Oh, up the inside there, that was a nice move as well. Adrian Johnson taking advantage of a bit of a loss of momentum there for Jake Styles. He goes through, and Jake then loses more momentum, and Michael Nibbs will go past in the yellow number 82 car. So 3 places really lost there in less than half a lap for Jake Styles, who has had his various difficulties this weekend. That's his 2nd car of the year, I believe. He was certainly out in a differently liveried car at Brands Hatch for the season opener. Green and white car, if memory serves. So Jake, whether that's just a repaint or whether he has actually got a new car, I'm not too sure, but he's been in the wars a bit at certain times this year. Wouldn't surprise me if they decided to replace it. There goes Chisnell, there goes Leary, and there the 222 car is Adrian Johnson behind. Jake Styles continuing around behind Michael Nibbs now. And I think that is Oliver Jenkins behind. We'll try and get a glimpse of that white and red striped car. It's certainly the right colour. If it is him, though, he's some way behind Chisnell and Leary, his sparring partners from the previous race. So, able to make that sort of progress that they have. I think that is 57, isn't it, with the novice cross on the back. So Oliver Jenkins closing in on that group, and will really want to try and get past them as quickly as possible. Right, back across the start-finish line then comes our fight for 4th position. Richard Wootton and Bryn Griffiths have never really been that far apart in this race, but Bryn not really able to put in a serious challenge for the last few laps, and if anything, Wootton is starting now to get away. Down the hill again. Oh, the other side, the park straight, but it's anything but straight. As you can see, it's not flat, and it winds from the right to the left there, like left-hand kink as you go through. Wootton locks up there. Oh, he's going off surely. Yeah, Richard Wootton under no pressure at all. I just made the comment that he was starting to pull away, but I did notice he ran a bit wide at Charlie's, so he was clearly pushing on. At the very next corner, locks up and goes straight on the off the road. So Richard Wootton loses 4th place. Bryn Griffiths gains 4th place. Wootton down to 5th. That was a bit of a silly mistake, really, for Richard. I think he'll agree with that. Now he's got dirt on the tyres and the red mist has descended, which is a lethal combination. And he's starting to overdrive in his pursuit to close back in on Bryn Griffiths. The good news is that he had the pace to pull away from Bryn Griffiths in the first place, so he should have the pace equally to close in on him. The bad news is that he had the pace to pull away from Bryn Griffiths and really should have done, and was doing so, and then made that little mistake. So he'll try and take the positives out of this and continue his, now begin, I suppose, to charge up onto the tail of the 31 car, but it might take him the rest of the race to do it. This race, the final one of the weekend, and Richard would have liked to end the weekend with a 4th place finish rather than a 5th, but doesn't quite look like that's going to happen, unfortunately. He finished 4th, of course, in the first B race behind Bryn Griffiths. They were 3rd and 4th, with Bryn ahead of Richard. And it looks like they're going to finish in the same order between the two of them once again in this one. Back with Adam Bessel, though, over the mountain. Bit of traffic for him to deal with in front, but his lead now is growing by the lap. However, he's being warned for exceeding the track limits. In fact, he has just been given a 5-second track limits penalty. So Adam Bessel pushing on at the front of the field. This is, I guess, a glorified test session, really. But he'll be massively frustrated not to have been scoring many more points this weekend, and so he's been really going for it in this final race. Despite the fact he's under no pressure, he's managed to pick up a track limits penalties. Now, they will add 5 laps onto his race time, but 5 seconds, excuse me, but that should be okay. I think he should be able to hang on to the race lead. It's about 8 seconds or so ahead of Seb Fisher in 2nd place. We'll find out in less than a lap, though, because we are on to the final lap of the race now. Adam Bessel, 5-second time penalty. Has less than a lap now to try and ensure that he keeps this gap big enough. Now there is Bessel. The next car behind is a back marker, so I think he's got 5 seconds in hand over Seb Fisher. But what was looking like a guaranteed race victory is now a little bit in doubt. Car number 4 as it rounds the long right-hander here. Heads down the hill into Mansfield Corner once again. Adam Bessel, a best finish this season so far of 6th place in the A races. He's been in the A races every race of the season until this weekend, which really has not gone to plan. A non-finish and these 2 B races will therefore become his dropped scores. And although they are, he waves to the fans up above the up outside the cafe at the top of the hill. Although these are potentially going to be 2 race victories for him in the B races, they're not worth anywhere near the points that an A race victory is. You get 100 points for an A race victory. You get something like 40 or 50 or so for a B race win, but Bessel doesn't really seem all that concerned about that now, because he slides the car in spectacular fashion, not just out to the final corner, but around the entire final sector, and he will become the first 2-time B race winner this year. Adam Bessel takes the checkered flag for the 2nd time this weekend. There he gets notification of the 5-second time penalty, but there Seb Fisher is, nearly 9 seconds back, so on corrected times he will still miss out on the victory by 2.4 seconds. Confirmation of that result then: Fisher 2nd, Waters 3rd, with Bryn Griffiths 4th, and Christina Holly 5th. 6th place goes the way of Graham Rumsey, then Christian Dan, Stuart Ross French, Bruce Robinson and Clive Chisnall rounding out the top 10. So we had some changes there, didn't we? Because Richard Wootton's dropped down to 16th place, so we saw him go off the road once. We have to assume he's been off again. Retirements, while Nick Ledoyen, the only retirement from the race, whilst Adam Bessel sets the fastest lap.
Becoming fastly the man of this weekend, you've had so many engine troubles, but yet still on pole position.
Yeah, I mean, I got lucky, really. I think we've just got unlucky and then lucky and then unlucky and then lucky. So, yeah, good end to the weekend, really.
First off, congratulations, first podium, but quickly, talk us through what happened to get you into the Bs.
So yeah, it was a little bit of an unfortunate day, really. I was running really well. I think I was 10th in the A group, and the first time that my car has ever failed in over 5 seasons of racing. My dad has built it so amazingly well, But yeah, one of the ball joints sheared off, so nothing we could have done about it. That put me out of the A group race, and then obviously put me starting in the Bs. So I've raced with Adam for a long time. I know how quick he is. I couldn't quite catch up with him, but yeah, to finish second is a good end to the weekend, so thank you very much.
David, happy to be on podium, I'm going to take it. Second one since Brands.
Happy-ish, yeah. Yeah, as I said, like probably my worst start of the weekend off pole, so yeah, it would have been nice to have been 1 or 2 places higher, but to be fair, those 2 guys were pretty quick, so there's not a lot I could do. Once I was in third, they were just pulling away.